I don't know if it comes across as steep as it feels, but it feels pretty steep.
Spring can be pretty fickle here in North Carolina, so when I had a chance to ride in the mountains while it's still cool outside, I headed up to the Wilsons Creek area to get in an overnight bikepacking trip. As usually happens with any adventure ride, things didn't go exactly as planned, but that's also the joy of heading out on the bike without an exact end goal in mind.
Okay, so there have been some updates to the Kona Rove since last I did a trip with it, so I thought I'd walk through real quick. So the main change is a new group set. I've gone with the Rival AXS. This is the Explorer, which has a 40-tooth chainring in the front and a 1044 in the back. So a pretty great range, and it's 1x, so no finicky shifting. Plus that chain just looks cool. I also opted for the power meter option just because, relatively speaking, it's cheaper than trying to do it aftermarket, so it made sense to just do it integrated. One advantage of that is that it really cut down on 2 more cables up front, which is nice. So you see I have a cable running there and one right over here, and that's about it. So really cut down on cables. So far I like it. I've done typical gravel rides on it, but nothing else. Nothing underweight yet, so we'll see how it does bikepacking. My breakdown for this ride. So I have the standard setup that I've used before, which is the lead panniers in the back. And then I have the Fly Creek tent up top, moose packs, seat post bag right there, my Revelet Designs half frame bag. I actually have a Revelet Designs top tube bag, which I don't really like using. I don't really like a top tube bag, but I kind of need it, just handy. Got my Garmin up top, moose packs, handlebar bag. I could have put the tent up there. I really thought about doing it just to balance the weight, but I really don't like having a handlebar bag much. One addition here, I have the Salsa Anything cradles, which I haven't done before. I was always kind of nervous about putting something here because the fork is carbon, but I don't have anything heavy in there, and might as well throw them on there and distribute the weight a little bit better and get something out of those panniers in the back. So it made sense. And then of course, my lighting system right there, just in case I'm riding in the dark this evening. One additional upgrade that I've made here is a Hunt 4 Seasons Super Dura disc. If you've seen my other video, you'll see that I tacoed a wheel once. I have no interest in doing that again. So I went with these wheels, which have every spoke. The hub's great. I even got their crash accident protection. And so in that case, I have a lot more peace of mind with this new wheel set, especially for bikepacking, because this is my primary bikepacking bike. I've gone with some Schwalbe G1 Ultra Bites. I have the Schwalbe G1 All-Arounds on my Canyon Grail, and I really like them a lot. And so I wanted a similar set, but I wanted it with a little more bite. So you can see the tread here, which I think really helps a lot. So far, I'm really happy. They seem to grip really well. They hold air really well, look kind of cool. And I think they're kind of a great all-around chunkier tire than I've used before.
I based my ride on the Wilsons Ramble route. In fact, the first day's ride is entirely comprised of it. However, I did change the starting point to begin on the Parkway in Pineola, where a friend offered to let me use her home as a jumping off point. After riding on the Parkway for a bit, I turned onto Pittman's Gap Road, then briefly onto Mortimer before taking Highway 183 to Old NC 105. You could of course just simplify this by still starting on the Parkway and just taking it straight to the Linville Falls parking lot on Old NC 105.
The first little leg done. Left the Parkway house. Got a late start. Was in no real hurry this morning. Should be okay. We're about 12 o'clock now. And so got about 10 miles in, riding along 181 and Pittman's Gap. Pretty good. Beautiful day so far. Can't complain. And now I'm here on Old NC 105. Goes up and over. It's punchy in places, real steep. So it's going to be a lot of spinning on that thing right there. But my goal today, I'd love to be able to get another, say, 12 to 15 miles in and get down to Fonta, Flora, Whippoorwill Farm. Be a great place on a day like this. Hang out for just a minute, relax there, and then find a campsite for the evening.
I've ridden NC 105 plenty of times, and you can see it on other videos on my channel. Riding south like this definitely gives you punchier climbs with more gradual descents. I'd say I much prefer it to the opposite.
Pretty much the climbing done. It's really two climbs coming from the Parkway if you're starting at Linville Falls, that area. There's one relatively shorter one. It's still steep, but you get over it pretty decently. Then it levels out for a minute, and the second one's definitely harder. I think it's about a mile and a half, but it's almost broken in two. You climb up fairly steeply, it levels out, then the last bit that gets you up to here is fairly steep too. As mentioned, I have 40 tooth up front on my bike and 1044 in the back, and I was definitely just in the small ring pretty much the whole time. So I think if you're not particularly strong or you have a lot of weight, I think a 52 in the back would definitely help, or something smaller up front, like a 38 something. From here, it's pretty much down. It's, in my opinion, kind of annoyingly down, basically. So steep in parts, and the gravel's so loose that it's really just kind of a brake fest. You just have to kind of keep hammering the brakes the whole way. But you know, your mileage may vary. Then it actually flattens out to pavement for a bit. And then, yeah, I should be at Fonta, Flora, just in time for it to open. I think it opens at 2 o'clock today. From there, then it goes down to the single track, which is the real adventurous part, right by Lake James. So making good time today. So really, once you get over those two punchy climbs here on NC 105, then you kind of ride down to Lake James.
ride to make it to Fonta Flora's Whippoorwill farm, but if you're doing the same, just make sure to check their hours. There really isn't any other food or convenience stores around, and the food truck in the parking lot doesn't start serving till around 4 o'clock. But their beer is fantastic, and it's definitely worth a stop. From Fonta Flora, it's over to the mountain biking trails at Lake James. None of the trails on the route are particularly challenging, but if you're used to riding gravel or road, just know that your speed slows a lot in this section. It's fun, but it's also time consuming, especially if you're thinking of where you'll be sleeping that night.
And that's the mountain biking portion. I want to say it's fun, but it mostly just stresses me out. I get generally worried that I'm going the wrong way. I have to stop constantly. Definitely didn't come out where I'm supposed to, but my GPS kept dropping me. And so just got through as best I could, and I'll join up with the regular route just on the street here now. I've got 36 miles in, which means I definitely have at least 15, 20 more to get today. Plenty of sunlight in a relative sense, you can see up there, but you never know here in the mountains. So I gotta get some miles in. Made it to the Fonta Flora County Park, which is beautiful. It's a nice stop. Yeah, you get through all the Lake James mountain biking, and then you get off onto the Fonta Flora Trail, which is a nice little kind of almost a greenway basically. And then you come here, and there's a nice bathroom, rest stop, and plenty of bike tools. Yeah, so as you can see, a great bike stand actually. It's got air and tons of tools, and a bike stand. So this is really helpful. So if you need to, I went ahead and topped off my tires just in case, why not? Restroom's right over there. One of the water fountains is out of service right now, but that's a temporary thing. So this is definitely a nice stop. From here, it's where there's a pretty big climb. So basically between kind of miles 40 and 50, it kind of goes straight up for a little bit. Fish Hatchery Road right after Fonta Flora, the Fonta Flora Trail in the county park is great. It's like a beautiful break. Feels like everything's just been kind of work for a while, and that was a nice little kind of cruise, mostly downhill section. Just turned off, took a left off of that on a Forest Service road, I'm not sure which one. And I have a feeling that pretty soon this will just be going straight up. So the easy part is now over. Turns out this is Forest Road 116 that I've been on for 5 or 6 miles now. And it's wonderful, actually. The climb didn't start when I thought it would just after the gate. It just kind of keeps rolling along, switch back after switch back after switch back. You go up, you go down, you go up, you go down. But now it does look as if the climbing will be starting in earnest. Getting ready to do a, looks like just under 2 mile climb. Not a huge one, you'll gain 450 feet or so. But then the next climb after that is a third of a mile later. So it pretty much does start kind of going just up from here. But luckily made pretty good time back through there. I think I'm coming up on almost 50 miles for the day. So that's pretty good considering how slow that mountain biking section goes in Lake James. So somewhere in here in the next 10-ish miles, maybe, looking for a good place to stay for the night. 6:20, so I have 2 hours till sunset, but it's going to get darker, obviously, here sooner. There we go. Those weeds right there in the center of the track are pretty much what I consider now a kind of the closing of the season for riding, especially on this Forest Service road around here. They just grow up so quickly, and it's really unpleasant. Ticks, all kinds of bugs, horseflies chase you over forever. So to me, this is kind of when things shut down here, because it gets humid, it gets warm, it gets uncomfortable, it gets pleasant. All right, well, this is likely going to set me back a few minutes. I'm in a pickle right now. Still kind of technically have a decent amount of daylight left, but I know I'm losing it. The thing is it's really kind of just roadside camping on this Forest Service road, or I push probably into the night to get a more decent campsite. So we'll just have to see what happens once I get over all of that stuff. Hey, Bear! All right, buddy. I'll see ya. Bear. Trying to race daylight because I'm pretty sure that I'll be riding in the dark. But then I come around and there's a good view of the mountains. And assuming I don't get mauled, this is all pretty fun. There it is. All right, I've done this a few times and I've ridden most of it once maybe, but whew, it's a beast. Yeah, it keeps going up and up and up. You can see here on that one, it's the black bit. So it's the last bit of the climb. Didn't really want to go into the dark, which I suspect I'm getting ready to soon. But to be honest, I got a little spooked and I'd rather just keep moving. So if I can get to the top of this climb, 1.65 to go, then it's actually going to be a little bit of down and kind of flat, and I get to water again. It's not good to camp without water. Don't love that. So the only way to do it is to do it. I'll stop talking. I don't know if it comes across as steep as it feels, but it feels pretty steep. Yeah. But luckily, it's not 1,000,000,000,000 degrees out like the times I've done it before. So it's just the hike-a-bike section. Good times. There it is. Just made it up. Made it up. Nice and sunny out here for the next 15 minutes. I've seen a camper here, and in just a little while, this meets a road, and I've actually camped up at the road there if you need to. But I'm going to try to push on to get to some water, so I can actually be by some water tonight. Both the sound of it and just having water for cooking should be good. So maybe a little dusk evening riding. But that's it. That's the big push up. Once you get this, it's nice to have kind of broken its back, because that's the big climb of this part. And then it's 2 really big climbs to finish up. But feels beautiful to get out. I'm at 54 miles for the day, and I still have a little bit of daylight left, so I'm calling it. That's good. I know a good bit of the climbing for the next route, and I can at least say that I feel good about where I got today, and I'd like to not have to set up in the dark and go ahead and get a fire going. It's a decent fire ring right here. So in all, yeah, it's great. I think an earlier start and be able to push over this would be ideal. This is the beast climb, and then after this you kind of descend down toward Wilson's Creek, and then it's a big climb out. But overall, I think this is a good itinerary and a good starting spot. So I'm not going to talk too much now. Time to make a fire. Morning. Last night was good. I did, I had a Whippoorwill in camp. It was like a megaphone, just kind of screaming all night long. So that took a minute to adjust to. All right, so a recap of day one. 55 miles. It wasn't actually that much elevation, I don't think, other than that last big climb.
Lots of descending for the most part. And then, getting over 105 is not nothing, but it's not significant compared to what will happen today. So today, be a big day of riding. So the goal is, of course, to finish it. So I'm 54-ish miles in. And so that means, I'll have 70 plus to finish. If you look at the elevation profile, it just kind of does this. There's some constant climbs, and then there's 2 big last climbs. It's a great campsite. I'm glad I picked it last night, actually. It's pretty ideal. There's plenty of firewood. There's a creek right down the street to get water from. Things are nice and flat. The weather was perfect last night, so no worries there. So I could have pushed on a little bit more in the dark, but it was nice to get set up in the light and actually have a seat, eat some dinner. So I'll have to get started here soon. It's gonna be a great day. All right, check in on the bike. Everything worked flawlessly. Had no issues at all yesterday. The big question, of course, the new group set. It does exactly what you'd hope, right? Every single time I press a button, it shifts, and that's wonderful. If anybody's wondering, I know there'd be some general nervousness about taking battery-powered group set into the woods, but I get a battery readout on my head unit, and I've had no change in battery throughout the entire day. So that's been great. Like I said, every time I shift, every time I press the button, it just shifts. Nothing's out of whack. I'll clean it up this morning, and so far, love it. These wheels have been great. I don't have a lot of things to compare on, but I can say they feel good. They feel bulletproof. I've had no issues whatsoever, so I'm very happy with those so far. And then the tires, they're the right tire. They're perfect. I topped off a little bit of the air pressure yesterday at Fonta, Flora County Park. Other than that, they grip well, they roll well. Been really happy with it. And then, of course, the Tumbleweed mini pannier rack. It's fantastic as always. I'll check the bolts just to make sure everything's on well, but no issues whatsoever. And I was happy with carrying the anything cages up front. It definitely balanced out a little bit of the weight. I'll try to probably redistribute a little bit today since I ate my one meal, so I'll take care of that. But in total, no issues whatsoever with the actual setup here. 9 miles, 8.5, since the camp, which is going to be at that peak of the last climb in the first day. And that's all magnificent. You're just kind of gradually going downhill. It's really nice because it's actually a good descent, right? You can actually go and feel like you're riding along. It's not that you have to slam the brakes on the whole time. So it feels really good. Then there's a sharp left here. I don't know, it's at some gate. I don't know. You'll see it on the route, but sharp left here, and this will take you back onto some kind of double track here for a bit.
after cruising on that double track for a while, you'll come down and actually be crossing a stream here. That's a pretty good one. I've never seen it too high that you can't just walk across it. And then there's a really fantastic swimming hole right over there if you were to do this when it's warm. Right after this, it's a fairly nasty little sandy uphill. It's not very long. It's usually a hike-a-bike for me, but your mileage may vary. The climb up from the river is nice once you get on the gravel road right here. It continues on with the big climb that you were on, but it's nice and gradual, so it actually feels pretty good. You hop onto 181 for a minute, and then you cross right over. So you're butterfly. So you're only on there for a quarter mile, and then it's a great descent downhill. You get down to the river, which is great, and now starting up a fairly gradual climb. 2.5 miles, 800 feet of climbing. This is a great climb. Big reason for that is that the road is closed, and so there's no cars. So for about 2 miles, you have all this kind of to yourself, which is pretty big. It'll get a little steepish later, but it's nice, and there's water all along. So this would be a great time. Stop for lunch, relax. I see some rings around here. I don't know if camping's actually allowed or not, but there'd be more than one good spot right along this stretch. Okay, that's that climb. It gets a little spicy at the end, but it's just pedaling. Now it's a pretty quick descent down toward Wilson's Creek. Be heading straight over that way. Here on Brown Mountain Beach Road along Wilson Creek. Beautiful, one of the best roads. I was thinking gravel roads in North Carolina. And saw the route which headed straight up. I don't remember the name of the trail. Went straight up a mountain bike trail, and I remember trying it the last time I did Wilson's Ramble. It's not fun at all. It's just like a big hike-a-bike up to a ridge. And the reality is on a drop bar bike. I like a drop bar bike. So I don't know. So I'm going to see. I'm going to get up here to Betsey's and see what the plan is. See if maybe I'll try to keep actually trying to do Wilson's Ramble, or if I just want to do a kind of a plan B and just go up Roseboro, which is a more direct route. In which case, I'll kind of have modified this and made a different route. Yeah, so I'll see. Very much looking forward to stopping, having some snacks. turns out didn't want much part of a bunch of single track. Just trying to make smart choices. So plan now is I'll just head straight up to the parkway, and with one great big climb. Took a left at Betsey's, and now it's basically 11 miles straight up. 11 miles, 3,200 feet of climbing. So it definitely won't be nothing, but it's a straighter, safer shot on the bike I'm on. So I just turn the pedals. There's the first punchy bit done. I am sufficiently sweaty now. That was the first couple miles. I think almost 1,000 feet of climbing just in those couple miles. Now it levels out for a bit before it gets at least yellow. So yeah, it's only one way to get to the top, right? 1,900 feet to go, just over 7 miles. Halfway, so 4.5 miles left, 4.5 miles behind me. But if you're wondering what the climb is like, the first half of the climb has 2/3 of the elevation. So there's just over 1,000 feet left. So that first half is a little bit of a doozy. Exactly how long it took me. Maybe 90 minutes, something like that. I don't want to say the second half is easy, but it's much more civilized, I'll say that. So if you can make it up those first, say, 5 miles, then life gets a lot better and a lot smoother. So, and you get rewarded as you go up with decent views, and it's much cooler. So things just kind of constantly improve as you go up.
In all, the trip was exactly what I wanted. A chance to test my legs against the North Carolina mountains, sleep under the stars, and spend some time in the shade of some rhododendron.